Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Thank you all for coming this afternoon. Distinguished guests, faculty members, colleagues, friends, and members of the media. On behalf of Help University, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to this special occasion, the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between Help University and SW Asia Academy, Hong Kong, followed by a panel discussion on global industry, academia, collaborations, and corporate governance. Today marks a significant milestone as we celebrate a strategic partnership that bridges nations through education. This collaboration brings together Help University and SW Asia Academy, a distinguished academic institution affiliated with Shine Wing Hong Kong, one of Asia's largest accounting and consulting networks. This partnership opens exciting pathways for academic progression and cross-cultural exchange. Together, Help University and SW Asia Academy will explore a wide range of initiatives, including student mobility programs, English language camps in Malaysia, and flexible academic pathways through diploma, undergraduate, and postgraduate programs. In addition, the partnership supports inclusive education through the APEL-Q, which is the accreditation of prior experiential learning, allowing adult learners to convert their life and work experience into recognized qualifications. I would now like to introduce our distinguished guests. First of all, it is my distinct honor to introduce Datuk Shireen Ann Zahara Muhyiddin. Datuk Shireen is the founder of Coston Smith Asset Management and currently serves as the Deputy Chairman of the Asian International Arbitration Center. She is also the former Chairman of Bursa Malaysia. With over 30 years of experience in the financial services and corporate sectors, Datuk Shireen has held leadership roles, including CEO of AIG Investment Corporation Malaysia. She is a passionate advocate for corporate governance and ESG best practices, and has contributed her expertise on numerous boards and national councils, including the Prime Minister's Economic Action Council and FELDA. Her impact has been recognized regionally and globally, named one of the 25 most influential women in Asia Pacific by Asian Investor, and one of Forbes Asia's 50 Power Business Women. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in warmly welcoming Datuk Shireen Muhyiddin. Our next distinguished guest is Mr. Roy Loh Wah Kay. Mr. Loh is the managing partner of Shine Wing Hong Kong, CPA Limited, and a board member of Shine Wing International. He is a highly respected figure in the accounting and business community with over 28 years of professional experience across Hong Kong and mainland China. A certified public accountant and fellow member of several prestigious accounting bodies globally, Mr. Loh has played a pivotal role in auditing, IPO advisory, corporate governance, and professional education. He also serves in various public service roles, including as chairman of the Accountancy Training Board of Hong Kong's Vocational Training Council and as a member of the HKSAR Election Committee Accountancy Sector member. His contributions to education, public service, and professional development have been widely recognized, including being conferred an honorary fellowship by the Vocational Training Council in 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Roy Low. And I would now like to introduce Dr. Terence Tan Hoa. Dr. Chan is chairman of Bay Area Capital Partners Limited and a highly respected expert in real estate investment, cross-border finance, and ESG-focused asset management. With over 30 years of experience, he has led landmark investment projects across Asia, raising over USD 3 billion in capital for real estate, infrastructure, and technology ventures. He currently serves as an independent non-executive director of several Hong Kong-listed companies and is an adjunct professor at the University of Hong Kong. Dr. Chan is also a senior advisor to China Energy Conservation and Environmental Protection Group and plays an active role in shaping sustainable finance initiatives across the region. He's also a chartered financial analyst and a fellow of the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. He is widely recognized for his leadership in integrating ESG, innovation, and cross-border collaboration in capital markets and education. Please join me in warmly welcoming Dr. Terence Chan. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Ms. Tammy Tam. Ms. Tam is a seasoned professional with over 20 years of experience in business management, investor relations, and corporate finance, with a distinguished track record in Hong Kong-listed companies. She most recently served as Deputy General Manager of Capital Markets at COFCO Joy City Property Limited, part of the Fortune Global 500 COFCO Corporation. She has led major financial initiatives, including high-profile IPOs, bond issuances, and landmark property transactions. In recent years, Ms. Tam has also played a key role in integrating environmental, social, and governance strategies into corporate practice, enhancing sustainability, performance, and regulatory compliance. She is an MBA graduate from the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology and has a law degree from Manchester Metropolitan University. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Tammy Tam. And the last person needs no introduction. He is our Chancellor and co-founder of Help University. And he recently was awarded the Humane Entrepreneurship K Entrepreneurship Award by Jinju City. Okay, I would now like to invite Dr. Paul Chan to come and give his speech.
Good afternoon. I know how busy all of you are, especially people who are highly successful and very senior in what they are doing, whether in business, quasi-government bodies, or other private enterprises. So I want to thank you for your precious time. It also reflects a very important shall I say view that what we are going to do has interest to all of you and also possible future collaborations, because what we are going to do expands the opportunities and the synergies in terms of making good use of our talent pool from SW Asia and SW Group, and also the Help University and its related groups of companies. So I want to welcome Datuk Shirin and my friends from Hong Kong, Roy, Dr. Terence, Tammy. A few weeks ago, we were in Hong Kong and I want to take this opportunity to thank you for the warm hospitality. These people are highly net work, besides high net worth. And we had the privilege of being introduced to the Legislative Council. That's the unicameral institution. In Malaysia, you have the upper house, lower house. For them, there's only one. So we met some very useful, high senior equivalent of the members of parliament, particularly in the area of education. And we were very well briefed about the education policies and its future developments. So we are thankful to have such a group of partners. And I think what we are going to do would be extremely beneficial to the future generation, including the present one in Malaysia and of course in Hong Kong, China, Greater Asia and so on. The Asia Academy and the SW Group have a very strong reputation in financial and accounting. Probably SW is the largest accounting and audit group in Asia, if I'm not mistaken. And their reputation is extremely high and credible because what they provide are quality services to important clients, global clients in the Hong Kong Stock Exchange and of course in mainland China. So in view of this, they reflect a very strong, innovative and entrepreneurial way of handling various financial and financial engineering problems and so on. Now, this alliance, therefore, is important in providing such opportunities besides academic education, but hands-on internship, mentorship from you people. And I envisage a lot of new joint certificate courses for professional people, professional executive development, and so on. And in particular, the very presence of Datuk here tells us something that we will plan to do, and that's in the area of corporate governance. Needless to say, it matters a lot. All companies now have to comply with a lot of new regulations and legislations from ESG, Corporate Liability Act, data protection, cyber security laws and the like. And without corporate governance, it is very difficult to run a good company, a company that can be trusted. Now we talk about being a trusted CEO. So without trust, we cannot conduct any business. Lots of things to discuss afterwards, and I will leave that to the panel discussion later in maybe half an hour's time. But we hope that with this synergy, we can develop the Center or Association of Asian Corporate Governance with the guidance of Datuk Shirin here. More about that later. So Roy, Tammy, Dr. Terence, thanks for the delicious Hong Kong food. But after a few days, without a doubt, I'm not going to deny that. Okay, so I'll end here and we will follow up afterwards. Thanks so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Paul. I would now like to invite Mr. Roy Low, Managing Director of Shinewing, to give his speech.
Good afternoon, everyone. Professor Paul Chen, our honorable guest, Shireen, and also a lot of honorable guests here. I'm so happy and honored and pleasure to be staying in here today. Actually, maybe I give more introduction about Shinewing because maybe some of you may not so familiar with our group. Actually, Shinewing is one of the, I can say, biggest accounting firm in China. Why I say this? Because now we have extensive network in China. We have 29 offices in China, major cities. Okay, so we come up with around 10,000 professionals in China. So you can see that why we have so many people, because we mainly serve the capital market in China. You know, in the A-shares market in China, in Shenzhen and Shanghai, they're talking about 4,500 listed company. And some of them is really big, because most of them Chinese company now, part of the Chinese company, you know, is the SOE, which is owned by the Chinese government, okay, but in some structures, okay. So that's why we mainly serve this sector. And we can see that during, in the past few years, the capital market in China is not so good, because the global economy is also very weak, right? But start from last year, something changes, because when the A-shares market is temporary, stopped to keep the new company to list it. And now they push the good A-shares company go to Hong Kong to be listed in Hong Kong. So you can see that in the first half of this year, I mean start from this February 2025, you can see the Hong Kong stock market is become a boom, because the Hang Seng index also going up around by 25%, right, at least, yeah, which is one of the highest growth in the global market. And you can see that, and we can see that the A-shares company, actually, they do not have long history. Maybe they have just 20 years history, some of the company, maybe even shorter, maybe 10 years. But after they go into the capital market, actually they face to a lot of challenges, because the Chinese listed company, we can see that they don't have a very good corporate governance structures before, okay, because everything is new to them. So when they go to Hong Kong, they need to meet the requirement, especially for the new, the listing requirement in Hong Kong. So they need to face about the challenges, especially what Shereen, the book of Shereen said that, do they know about the ESG? Do they can comply with the ESG requirement? Maybe they don't have these ideas before. And also, because of, now we talk about the diversity, it's very important. But in the listed company of Chinese, in China, most of the companies do not have very good diversity, because they are normally is owned by the government, and the government will be the board, the composition of the board is mainly male. The percentage of the female diversity is very low in China. Okay, talking about a few percent only. Okay, but I know that in Malaysia now the target is talking about is 30% of the board members should be by female, right? Because diversity is not just gender; it's also including the skill set, and also the cultural difference. Because when they make the decisions during the board level, actually they need the different people, okay, to come up with this good decision making for them. So you can see, because the economy of China, they need to go out. Now the Chinese government is encouraged the listed company go out to go investment to overseas, because in China the competition is too keen. But when they go to overseas, you can see that they cannot go to US, right? Some of the European countries also not welcome them to go. So where they go, they will focus on the Belt and Road Initiative and also the ASEAN country. Go to Malaysia, go to Indonesia, go to a lot of Southeast Asia's countries. So this it will follow with a lot of capital, skill set, and also talent as well. So I think the cooperation between SW and HELP, I think, is the right time, because we can help the Chinese company to build their talent, to build the skill set, to help them to go overseas as well. So it's one of our target, right? Because they're talking about a huge number of these people, they need to have equipped with new skills. So that's why I think the cooperation between us will be very important, okay, at this moment. And you can see that when we're talking about the corporate governance standard, actually in China, they have quite a high standard, but the regulations is also very strict. For example, when we talk about the INED, the term of the INED, in China, normally they cannot become the INED of the same company for over 6 years. That means the term is only 6 years. You must be re-elected to reappoint another one. But they have a very strict rules. But I mean the rationale behind cannot be told, because sometimes when we think about the corporate governance, it's talk more about how they can they can help the company to be healthy growth, to be sustainable, to be can meet the expectation of the shareholders as well. They need also to take care about the minority as well. But in China, maybe you can think that they have a very strict rules, but they do not take into account of all these areas. Just like I say, do they really concern about the minorities? Do they also to put shareholders as one of the most important of the corporate governance issues to make sure that the shareholders have a good communication with them? So I think all of this that we can discuss more in the panel discussions. But I think today is a very good time that we can share our different point of view, because I in the past 30 years, I help a lot of company in China to go listed in Hong Kong, and also get very in-depth about the development of the Chinese listed company as well. So I think I'm really looking forward to share with you more about my experience, and also to hear more about your insight as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Low. I would now like to invite Ms. Tammy Tam to give her speech.
Hello. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and Dr. Paul, Dr. Shireen, and other distinguished guests. Because one of our founders, Roy, has already given the background of the Shinewing Group, and I would like to just say a few words about our cooperations. And on behalf of our team, I would like to thank you all of you joining us as we celebrate the signing of a significant partnership with the Hub University. This cooperation makes a new chapter in our shared mission to promote a corporate governance excellence, professional development, and regional growth across Asia. We are a delegated institution committed to nutrition, business, and financial professionals across the Asia region. Our goal is to provide high-quality, industry-relevant education programs from DBA and MBA degrees to specialized courses in fintech, ESG, corporate governance, and cybersecurity. We believe that continuous learning is essential in today's fast-evolving global economy, and our mission is to equip professionals with the skill set they need to success in lead confidently. Recently, we have seen a great momentum in Hong Kong capital market with vibrant IPO activities. In the first quarter 2025 alone, Hong Kong recorded 15 IPOs raising Hong Kong dollar 18.2 billion, representing 25% increase compared to the last year, and more than 4 times increase in the funds raised compared to last year's same quarter. Additionally, a clear trend has emerged of Asia companies seeking dual listing in Hong Kong, with active applications surging from the just 3 companies in 2024 to 2025 in the first 4 months in 2025. Beyond the Hong Kong markets, we are also witnesses an increasing number of the Chinese companies looking to expand into Asian market. This is driven by Asian rapid economic growth, strategic opportunities, and diversification goals. However, along with these opportunities come significant challenges, if not managing properly, could hinder success. Our programs are designed to be highly practical. Students participate in real-world case studies, group discussions, and even company visits, gaining insight into how Chinese companies have successfully or unsuccessfully expanded into ASEAN. For example, our MBA students analyze actual expansions strategies of the Chinese company, exploring governance issues, risk mitigation, and sustainability practices. Our goal is to pair professionals who can address their challenges confidently and effectively. Looking ahead, our partnership with the Hub University aims to develop tailored training programs and workshops that directly tackle this issue. By combining SW Asia Academy's industry experience with the Hub Universities, we will create a regional platform that fosters the best practices in corporate governance, risk management, and digital transformations. Together, we can empower Chinese companies to expand responsibility, sustainability with confidence. This partnership is more than agreement and is a commitment to building a future that responsible, innovative, and resilient companies thrive across the regions. I invite all of you industry leaders, regulators, educators, and investors to join us on this journey. Let's work together to evaluate corporate governance standards and support sustainability development in ASEAN. Thank you very much for your attention, your support, and your delegation to share your time in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Tam. I would now like to invite Dr. Shireen Ann Muhyiddin to give her speech. On the panel. Okay. Sorry about that. It was in the program. Okay, so without further ado, we would now like to proceed with the MOU signing ceremony. I'd like to invite Dr. Paul Chan, Dr. Nicholas Lam, Mr. Low, and Ms. Tammy to the table. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We will now like to have the panel discussion, and we would like to invite the speakers to the table. Dr. Paul Chan, Dr. Shireen, Mr. Low, Ms. Tammy, Mr. Terrence. Mr. Terrence.
Our discussion is about corporate governance. And today we have some very distinguished experts in this particular area, which is, of course, extremely important. First of all, I want to encourage you to buy this book. If you have not done so, you better hurry up, because it will be all sold out. It's a hot book in the market in America and elsewhere. So please get a copy of this book, because I get 10% commission. And the author is sitting next to me. You know, Dr. Shireen used to be the chairperson of the Securities Commission. She's Pusa, and so on. And as announced earlier, she holds many important positions. So today we have a very good panel to discuss 5 areas. First, we want to have a look at board structure, independence, and effectiveness. Second, focus will be on stakeholder engagement and shareholders' rights. And the third theme is on regulatory environment and compliance. And then, I'm sure Margaret will be interested, risk management, ethics, and sustainability. The next one is on remuneration, DEI, diversity, succession, and of course, future trends and regional differences. Now, we have Malaysia, Hong Kong, and China here. So it will be very interesting to have a comparative view. So the first person I want to address my topic is to, obviously, Dr. Shireen. Maybe you start by telling us about what you have written here first. Okay, we give you.
Well, thank you, Dr. Paul, for having me, and it's nice to see Roy and Terence and Tammy here, and of course, the other co-founder who's sitting so quietly, Dr. and Adam, somewhere who's in the
By the way,
mix.
this stream live.
So basically, the book is really a story about my career, where I started out as a regular asset manager, and I could see the importance of why companies needed to be sustainable, especially after the Asian financial crisis. I could see what companies didn't survive and what companies did survive, and why those companies who survived, what they did differently. And so then I go into stories about, within the E space, the S space, and the G space. And then at the end, I talk about some of the issues when you get onto a board, what you need to face, especially if you're a new board member, new chairman, what could actually happen from management, what they could do, some of the tricks of the trade. And then throughout the whole book, I'm talking about culture, because I think that's a huge piece within all companies. So that's basically my story.
Tatuk and Roy and Dr. Terence, in light of what you have said, what is the view of the, shall we say, optimal, if there's such a word, optimal mix of board members in terms of experiences, skill sets, and so on, and how do we refresh the board composition?
Well, I think that I have a slightly different take on what is an optimal mix of skill set. Basically, you generally will always have somebody with a legal background, and you will definitely need somebody from finance because of the audit committee requirements. But one of the areas that I think that has really changed in society, especially after the Great Resignation, is the skill sets of an HR person. And many Fortune 500 companies, they require all CEOs to spend a year in HR before they can escalate up to become a CEO. I think too many people underestimate the importance of having an HR skill. I think it's very important because many companies, you're always dealing with HR issues. And if you don't have a competent HR team, you really get yourself into legal tussles. The other area that I think is important, depending on your industry, is always having a subject matter expert. Because if, for example, you're in the chemicals industry, or those very specified or specific type of businesses, those type of subject matter experts definitely will help you deal with cyclical changes. For example, if you're in the medical area, you definitely need somebody on your board who understands the medical issues that you may face, the regulations, the changes, the dynamics. And my personal choice or favorite of somebody on the board is somebody who's actually run a business. A CEO who's actually been there, done that, gone through the tough times, understand what it's like to be a CEO. Because what you don't want is a board member that doesn't ever want to make a decision. And that's a very difficult position to be in for many management teams because they want the board to give them their views. Rightly or wrongly, you need to make a decision. If it's wrong, you have to turn on it. But at least it gives management an idea what they need to do going forward. And in terms of refreshing board composition, well, the rules are, and I actually agree with Roy, about 6 years. Here it's 9 years. It used to, some places it's 12 years, some places it's 4 years. I do think that 6 years is a very good level, but I do have a view that anybody who is a subject matter expert and they are very specific to a specific industry, I don't think that they should be in the same category of being refreshed, only because of their skill set. And if you're in a very, very fine line industry, it's very hard to replicate them. And why would you do that just because of a ruling to be classified as an independent director? You know, I think the boards just have to take a view, you know, let them become a non-independent. I hope that helps.
Definitely. Roy and Terence, what's your experience for Hong Kong and China?
Maybe I come from the angle of the IED because actually Dr. Chen and myself is forming a association in Hong Kong and China called the INED associations, and our members is all from the INED. INED. In Hong Kong we call it INED, Independent Non-Executive Directors. But in China they call independent directors. Maybe in Malaysia it's also called independent directors.
They have Institute of Corporate Directors.
Corporate directors. Yeah.
So this one is SIDs.
Yeah. Because you know, if the bulk mix, I mean the mix of skills, that all depends on the first thing is about the business nature of the company, right? But the business nature of the company will be changes. For example, when we are go listed, we are doing the traditional business, but the traditional business cannot be continued. We need to find some new business. But when they find a new business model, do they need to change the composition of directors? I think it's a very, it's really easy to understand because if we want someone to have the knowledge about the new business, we need to invite some people to join the board, okay? But in most of the listed companies, they would not doing this because they have they more treasure about the corporations and also the collective decision making, and sometimes they will also concern about the relationship as well. So it is really a big challenge to the listed company. So the first thing I think, as good mix of the skills for the board of directors, I think we need to do some of them, like some kind of matrix to see what are the current positions of the listed company in the market. And then we need to find the right person to join the board, maybe to change about the compositions. Every year they need to make this kind of review as well, yeah. How about you?
Apart from what Roy mentions, I got some experience because I used to work for a very diversified background investor company. I worked for Grosvenor in UK, which is 350 years company, and also I worked for SOE, just like the Tianjin government. So we're nowadays a lot of different diversified investor background, especially for capital flow from the institutions, we so-called with sovereign wealth fund, pension fund. I think apart from all the skill, all people skill, as what Dr. Shireen and Roy mentions, the emerging skill, I think most important is to how to align of interest with all these. Actually, they are not majority, but they are very important minorities. Just like you see the recent changes of Japan, how Warren Buffett tried to restructure all these Japanese cost-holding West interest companies. He invests a bit more than 10% is good enough to call the shareholders meetings. So I think it's how to make your company to align with the shareholder interest, especially, for example, in China, we got the efficiency because we have a very emerging use of technology in all our industries. It's a bit different from the Western world. China is, we have the emerging skill first and then we regulate. In China world, in Western world, the way around is we regulate before we push the business. That's why you can see China's growth is so fast, but they can control they can regulate in the night. So I think a lot of story behind, you can, if you can recall how we control the internet business in China, why the stock price dropped so fast in administrative opinion in China, just because we want to control, we want to get the balance of the investor as well as the end user. So I think another thing I think the most important for board considering is to take care of all the stakeholders' view. That's why actually I read the whole book of Shireen's, and a lot of points is very relevant in everywhere of the world. And also very diversified investor backgrounds. So this is, I think, is the most important. So maybe in subsequent discussions, we can discuss more about how to make a stakeholder engagement is even more important. Because you need to get, especially nowadays in a lot of innovations, we're talking about the, in China we call the 耐心资本. It's a very patient capital. How the institution can be patient with a company, you cannot always not align to your investor interest. So I think this is why people need to nowadays. And another part is also very important is why we work with Tatupo is the thing the periodical mature learning. We need to go to school at the 2 to 3 years to learn the new stuff, the new idea. Because now a lot of, for example, the digital economy, we have a lot of cryptocurrency. Nobody will take care of cryptocurrency 3 years before. After we have a lot of financial institutions such as the because the ETF get involved in this. And then nowadays, you know, the Trump also has put a lot of the allocations of government investment in digital currency. So how to address this in our balance sheet, our accounting record, is maybe all this new stuff we need to learn regularly. This is my view. Thanks.
So in light of what you all said, how do you balance the roles of the executive and non-executive directors to, shall we say, enhance board effectiveness? Yeah, please. Yeah.
I think that for executives and non-executives on the board, the first issue I believe is that, and this is for, I'll categorize them in different types of companies, but in regular companies, I do not think that executives should be board members. And the reason why is that because the executives are going to present their own business plans, their own strategies, and at the same time they're a board member and they have to vote on it. So it's a little bit of a challenging position because you believe in a project or you're representing a project, and at the same time you have to vote on it. So it puts you in a conflicted situation. But I want to say that this is very different for founder or owner-driven companies. They need to be on the board because they are actually driving the company forward. That's why I would separate it as to ensuring that, you know, if you are a founder, you should be on the board. But if you're not a founder, I don't think that the CEOs should be board members. I think that's where I've seen a lot of conflict. I think the biggest issue that I see and continue to see regardless of many countries is actually the issue of independence. You know, how do you get somebody to be completely independent and be able to speak without fear or favor for the best interest of the company? Often in our culture, in Asia, it is very difficult. And I think that this is one of the issues that is uniform throughout many, many places in our part of the world. I don't know what you think, Ryan.
Maybe we talk about, a lot of people will criticize the listed companies about the independence of some of the board members, because you're talking about the balance of ED and INED, right? The NED. The most important elements of the INED is about the independence. So they will not control by the major shareholders, right? Because they can have an independent view to give a good suggestions to a listed company. But a lot of Asian listed company, if they are family owned, right? The major shareholders own over 70%. Okay, so he can pick anyone become their directors. So everyone will listen to the major shareholders. So he's always been criticized in Hong Kong, even in China. But in Hong Kong, it's also a very serious problem. Just take an example. When we talk about the inside information, how to handle inside information in the listed company. What's the criteria to decide whether this information is inside or not inside? Actually, you know that the NED is the last person to know about the inside information, right? But inside information is always in the hand of the ED, right?
Yeah.
Which is represent the major shareholders, right? So how to handle the inside information which is fair to all the shareholders is very difficult, actually. Sometimes, you know, if some of the listed companies do not handle the inside information in a good faith, so they may commit a crime, right? It's a crime because the shares is going up and then going down just because of the information is leakage as well. So we still need to protect about how to make sure that the NED can have the self view to be independent and also get the same pieces of information as just like the ED. We receive the information at the same time, so we can decide the good solutions how to tackle these issues during the board level as well.
I mean, I think that if I could just add,
Yes, sir.
that one of the problems is when you have your SOEs or even ours, we call them GLCs or GLICs, is making sure that the independent directors who are appointed, however they're appointed, really do act in the best interest of the institution, because they are really representing the minorities or even the beneficiaries. You know, they are the people. And until we get that right, it's always going to be a very challenging position for these companies to really perform at their best. Sorry, I just wanted to add on to what you're saying. Sorry, those terms.
So what's the role of the government and regulatory authorities to mitigate this conflict, divergence of interest in the
Well,
context of China, Hong Kong?
Yeah, maybe you can start with China.
Yeah. Let's start with China.
Okay. Since I think I'm the first batch of internal management team of a state-owned enterprise listed in Hong Kong. So I think it's the balance between if you want a listed company, it's easier to use listed company as an example. Whether you want a listed company to get more diversified or global investors involved. If this is the case, you need to be, as mentioned, you need to be more transparent on informations, and your strategies could consider from more perspective than pure a SOE. If they are only use the capital or invest locally. But nowadays, so that's why it's quite different nowadays in Chinese ListCo compared with 20 years before. They only need the capital to invest in mainland, because you don't need to know too much. I will get into all the profit in old days. But now, because the Chinese economy is not that good, it's highly competitive, all people need to go offshore to invest, to expand the business. So from this perspective, nowadays they may consider to have more involvement of the independent directors. And also I think in the recent the research by the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, they want to separation between the chairman and the CEO. So a lot of people mentioned that we would like to have a non-executive person to be the chairman. So all board resolutions should be finally, or what type of agenda should be steered by the chairman instead of the CEO who manage the daily operations. So I think this is maybe a good balance for the role between IED and ED, so as both of the opinions can be consolidated by the board.
Yeah, actually now in Hong Kong, we have just to issue a series of the new corporate governance requirement in this year, actually in this July, start from this July. That means they request the listed company to have a lead IED. What is the meaning of the lead IED? That means, just like Dr. Chen said, that they want the IED to play a more proactive role in the board. That means if they become the lead IED, they need to be more have shoulder more responsibility for the minority. That means when they discuss some of the very sensitive issues which will affect about the share price, they need the lead IED to take up maybe to call for a board meetings, and they can also have direct communications with the auditors. Right? It's very important because the auditors, they were very concerned about there's some big changes in the company. So the lead ID actually will take up some of the role, like just like the chairman of the board as well. But now in Hong Kong, we still allow the chairman and the CEO is the same person in the board. Yeah.
So for a variety of reasons, there are many cross-border listings nowadays. So there are more challenges, isn't it, for cross-border listings? Yeah.
No, it's okay. No, absolutely. And I think that what many people don't realize is that when you list in another country, the culture of enforcement is very different. So certain countries, you may have more of an engagement process with the regulators. Other countries, it is jail first, talk later. You know, so it depends where you're at. So I think that cross-border listings appeal to certain people only when they have enough of a wide business model that would attract investors in another country. Otherwise, more than not, global investors can move from country to country into your home country, unless there's some reason that they aren't coming into your country or your currency.
I think there are lots of China companies do cross-border listings, Hong Kong.
Actually, now it's very common. I just mentioned is that now the Chinese government want to encourage the A-shares company to be listed in Hong Kong, not in US, okay, listed in Hong Kong. So there's a boom in Hong Kong now. But actually the requirement, I mean the listing requirement in Hong Kong is quite different from China, from A-shares. So when they come to Hong Kong, they need to comply with the Hong Kong listing rule. So that's why a lot of the petitioner now is working on the cases is that they need to educate about the board how they can comply with all these new requirements as well. But actually, for the board members, they still need to be aware that because when they become a dual listing in 2 different jurisdictions, they need to comply with different regulations, right? But if their skill set do not have this knowledge, for example, they don't have knowledge about how to assess, how to tackle the conducted transactions, just like this. But in Hong Kong, for example, if there's a conducted transaction is happen, the board need to form an independent committee to deal with these issues. But maybe in some other jurisdiction, they don't need to have such a requirement as well. So all these new requirements will come up with a new challenge to the listed company if they are looking for a dual listing in different places. But this trend, I mean the trend of the Chinese listed company go listed in other jurisdictions, it become a new normal actually in maybe in the coming few years. Maybe they will go listed in Hong Kong, listed in Malaysia, or even in Singapore. Yeah.
I think for cross-border listing, we should have some focus on what is cross-border meaning. If cross-border is compared with the international market, for example, New York, London, and Hong Kong, we classify this all this is the international investor get involved market. So I think it should consider more disclosure requirement or sustainability requirement, or nowadays even we need to this company to adjust for the climate change, how they impact their business, how they address this type of risk in their financial disclosure. I think it's one of the most important to consider cross-border. And another thing is related to the cultural or the management style. I think for this, Hong Kong actually, that's why I think can collaborate a lot with the Malaysians or Islamic finance view, because nowadays, due to the geopolitics situations, Hong Kong capital market can rely a lot on the ASEAN and the Middle East. We got the GCC. That's why I think Malaysian definitely can be a very good role. As I discussed a lot of time with Dr. Paul mentioned that I believe the Malaysian Chinese have the best cultural intelligence to deal with these type of situations. That's why we have the 2 weeks before we have the GCC and ASEAN forum. Both the Prime Minister of Malaysia and China, they want to share all these type of how to define a new, at least, actually we can call this as international, but I will say it's more regional, because the RCEP, our CEP will be deeply pushed by all the participants. So I think this type of international or cross-border listening situation should be more reference for ourselves. It's not only compared with the Western style.
In our panel here today, Tato, we have a 25% representation by the female gender. So it's a topic dear to you. So how do you look at gender and the diversity issue in Malaysia and of course Hong Kong and China?
I mean, I think, okay, so when I first started looking at this issue, and I did that, major research report in 2010 about performance and women on boards, I think that where we are today, we've actually taken a step back, because previously there was a percentage of women participation, and then of late they came out with a mandatory number, and actually when you work the numbers out, it was less. I felt that if they were going to do a mandatory requirement, why didn't they just put a mandatory requirement for a percentage? So if your board is 12, you have a percentage of a certain amount, that's easier, instead of saying, let's just have one woman on every board. So here I saw a step back. And then I also saw that, with all the changes that was happening in other parts of the world, I felt that the conversation of diversity, which, Roy clearly spoke about, where you're talking about not just gender, but also other parts of diversity, which is so important to avoid groupthink on a board, so that everybody's different, everybody can talk about it. In many areas, that still doesn't happen, the proper word of diversity to avoid groupthink. I think that is really what we're trying to aim at, whether it's culturally different, whether it is thinking different, whether it's education different, approach different, age different. All these things count in diversity, and yet we're not really seeing it. We're seeing more box ticking, and I'm very reluctant about box ticking, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really make much difference. So do I think that they've made progress? Yes. Is it good enough? Definitely no.
Let's talk about the focus back to the gender diversity. So in Hong Kong, actually, we now have the mandatory requirement that all the listed companies, they must have one board member is female.
You see, this is the number.
Yeah. Start from this year. Start from 2 to 5. One. No, at least one. So the figure is that before that, Hong Kong is talking about 10%, around 10% of listed companies have female directors. But now we have over 20%.
One, but no, what about quality?
Quality.
You're talking about quantum, 1 or 2. But what about the quality? What type of quality?
Yeah. So actually, when we want to push the diversity on the board, that means the gender diversity. Okay. So can we easy to find the female willing to be a board of directors of this company? It's not so easy to find actually, because do they have enough training to be a directors? Do they have the skill set to be directors? Or do they have the preparation or mindset to become a directors of this company? So in Chinese, we always say that 女人顶半边天，对吧？顶着半边天。But in China, you know that this company, how to explain this in English? 半边天，女人能顶半边天怎么说？
Can hold the hammer.
Half of the sky, right? Half the sky. But in China, I mean, the listed company in China is still, I mean, the gender diversity remains very low. I just mentioned less than 10%, just 6 or 7% only. As compared with Western countries, they're talking about 30% or 40% in European countries. But well, I still want to say that because we talking about quantity, gender diversity about the quantity is meaningless, because we want quality, right? We want a quality person to become the board members. So do they have enough training, professional training for them? So that's why I think help universities to do more things on these areas, to train more female directors.
Oh, we have a lot of women here.
Yeah. Do they have They have the skill set to become they know about the responsibility, and also they know about what they can do, what they can help to improve the corporate governance as well in the market as well.
Yeah, I think maybe for a lot of the developing market, seems the gender diversity is a bit more issue, but I don't know. I recently worked for the education sector as a volunteer, and also I spent nearly half of my career time in Shanghai. I see women's power is really powerful in Shanghai, and also you can see Hong Kong. Nowadays, it's not. I think chairman may not be a lady, but CEO, a lot of CEO is ladies, especially when in very highly competitive economic environments. Seems the ladies is a bit more. I would say it's more all-rounded to take care of the matters. You can see our Hong Kong Stock Exchange, the CEOs is lady. Our SFC, the same as ladies. And you can see on the internet giant now, most of the CEO is now turned to be ladies. So I think the world is changing, especially when I work with in the university for my last 10 years. I see more vice president is ladies, but but president seems more guy, but a lot of vice president is ladies, and a lot of research or some big inventors, especially in China, you see a lot of the scientists are ladies. So in China, I think even though I think it's the government related company maybe a bit more still rely on have less diversity on the gender, but seems in the market in China, ladies' economy is very highly driven to our growth. Yeah.
And actually, Dr. Chen, I disagree with you. The woman has always been in charge.
All the family.
Maybe not in the board, but through the family. Somehow. Anyway, do you think we should make it mandatory that board members should pick up some literacy in AI, digital things, cybersecurity, and so on?
I do. And you know, when I looked at your question, I think that what came to mind was Y2K. At that time, I was in the insurance, on the investment side, an insurance group, and the fear that was running through the organization globally was that all your bond documents, your treasuries, your option contracts, your insurance premiums are all going to go completely haywire because of the new date. And the amount of money we spent on this was incredible globally. And if you think about it, that if at the time, now 25 years ago, that the board was informed and really properly trained, I think that there would be less of a panic and less of a huge spend that everybody did for the Y2K. And looking at AI and looking at the issues of cybersecurity, which we know are not just problematic here or in Hong Kong or China, but everywhere in the world. And at every level of management, there is very little awareness about what these issues are and what they could be, and how to deal with them and how to deal with them quickly. I think these are the biggest problems that we are now faced in the world of technology, especially at the board level. So absolutely resounding yes.
I think, for the board of directors, normally the average age of the board of directors is quite high in the listed company market. In Hong Kong, it's talking about the average age is maybe 55 or above. So this generation of people, actually, they don't have a very fast learner because they have already over the optimum learning curve, right? So if you request them to be very updated with the IT skills, it's not easy. It's quite difficult. But we still need to count on their experience and also to make sure that maybe they need to form some committee to helping them to review about for example, the cybersecurity risk, because now the cybersecurity risk is not just inside the company. It also in your supplier, in your customer, in your business partner. They also have a lot of cybersecurity risks will be impact on your listed company as well. So it's quite not easy to handle this issue, but I think it's still a very important topics that we need to tackle. Okay, otherwise that when the company is growing up, we know that one cybersecurity risk can seriously hurt the company. Even the corporation will be collapsed. Okay, because of these issues. So this is still the key issues that I think they need to handle and also need to face this challenge as well.
I think even though, but interesting, in China we see because of the popularity of the internet and the mobile connections, you can, I see a lot of the elderly, they are used quite well in the cell phone when they are doing we call the KOL, we see all these 小紅書, all these TikTok. I think some basic skill, because you got the mobile, you need to maybe not the whole ASEAN, but we live in China and Hong Kong. So you cannot avoid for this type of trend. And also, that's why in Hong Kong, our police has recommend all people, including even the young people, can still be being trapped by all this type of scam. We have a lot of people, they are being lose a lot of money due to some different crimes. So I think we need to get this popular from young to elderly. So this is the trend. But I think in terms of the data security, I think we need to think about how to use jurisdictions to protect what type of database should be shared or what type of the personal or copy information should be used for different type of commercial use. So I think any laws, the rationale behind is you can use laws to enforce, but seems this type of enforcement is very costly. So I think still why we need to learn in the university in our age, doesn't matter from young to elder, is to catch up all these informations. I think education is still more important than only enforcement. That's why for all this type of cybersecurity, I think we need to encourage more or put more resources for board members to learn this. And actually nowadays, you can see a lot of the KOL, maybe in one day, the Dupo, you can be the KOL to teach how we use different type of applications to ensure you can catch up with all this technology. Yeah.
One last question before I invite some questions from the floor. To all the panel members, if you are to suggest one reform in corporate governance, what would you suggest?
It's one answer, but it kind of falls into a little bit of a branch. So my first wish list would be that people split the nomination and remuneration committee. That would be my first wish list. And the reason why is because the nomination and remuneration committee is so immensely powerful. They're more powerful than the board because they determine who gets nominated on the board, who eventually gets hired, and how much people get paid. And they have to recommend that to the board. And if you have some nomination chairman, and in my career I've seen it, whenever they see that there is an opening within a very large group, guess who they nominate to be as a board member there? Themselves, right? So then they just position themselves in every other subsidiary as the chair. And one of the reasons that this nomination is so important is also the nomination of independent directors. Now, if you really had a truly transparent system, it would be so great that, okay, yes, majority shareholders will choose most of the board, but wouldn't it be nice if a group of minorities are allowed to choose at least one or two directors, where they group together and they suggested to the nomination committee that we would like to see that. I mean, we saw a very interesting case. I'm not sure if you followed it, ExxonMobil, where engine number one, which was a very small hedge fund, collaborated with Cal STIRS at the time, which is California Teachers Program or Retirement Fund, and they took on the board, the existing board, and the potentially elected directors of ExxonMobil, and they were very clear why they needed people to come in. It was not about, it was really showing that they needed the skill set to allow Exxon to transition from just being a pure oil and gas company. And it was one of the biggest case studies to happen, but in the United States it's a little bit different because the shareholding is not so concentrated. So that would be my wish, is that we split it and then we allow small shareholders to group together and to nominate individuals to become independent directors.
Actually, I see a lot of listed companies, they do not have a good transparency. I mean the transparency to the minorities, and which is come from because they don't have a good shareholders communication channel. So if I suggest something is very critical for this company, I would suggest that we need to request and mandatory for the listed company to do some of the shareholders communication exercise during the years. The CEO and the key top management, they need to face to the minorities and answer the questions directly with them. So I think if we can make it become a compulsory or mandatory, I think they will prepare how to face to the minorities. They will concern about whether our decision making, which is really in the best interest of all the shareholders, not just for the major shareholders.
I think I just share a similar opinion, but I truly believe if the non-executive chair can be any company, the chair is if this is a non-executive and independent guy to chair the whole board, I think maybe this is can steer the whole direction of the company to address different type of stakeholder issues. I think that would be, very welcome to all shareholders, especially for a lot of minority opinions, and I think the accountabilities of a independent chairman can bring a lot of values to the companies. Yeah.
Okay. I'll stop here, and I would like to invite some questions from the floor. Please, your name and company. Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for the sharing to all the distinguished panelists. Well, my name is Dr. Becky Low. So I would like to give some background of myself, why I asked this set of questions. Because firstly, I was also the global HR strategy and operation leader for the past, I think the most latest 4 companies. First one is TikTok, second one Facebook, third one Bloomberg. I was based in Hong Kong as well for 5 years. And also Huawei Technologies. So being someone that with the combination with Western and Eastern kind of companies and working as the strategic role in the HR, as mentioned by Dato', that HR is one of the very important element for all the innate or even executive to know that how critical that for them to take care of the people and also put all the people strategies in place. Okay, well, for all this role, and beside that, I'm also the member of ICDM, Institute Corporate Director of Malaysia, and also the Secretary General of Malaysia Independent Non-Executive Director as well. So I carry all this different portfolio, but I'm normally not in Malaysia. I based outside Malaysia for more than 10 years.
So we can see you here is
Yes,
not
by
easy,
chance
not
today.
easy, yeah.
By
Just
chance
happened to
today
in
because
Malaysia.
of Dr. Jimmy Look invited me to
Oh,
come, but he
Jimmy.
didn't come
Jimmy is
over.
our very good friend, because
Yes.
he is from our association as well.
Yeah, he appointed me as the Secretary General.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, thank you. So my question is really from based on my own experience. that as a senior HR leadership person, I find that as you hear those names like Huawei, TikTok, even Facebook, these are the companies always having this geopolitical problem, kind of companies. But however, being in those like senior management role, we always do not receive the first-hand information, the risk of the companies in very, very early stage. And when all those like getting all of us to come and rescue and prepare whatever scripts or prepare whatever compliance stuff, it will be sometimes very late. Yeah, so I find that one of the key structure of the corporate governance literacy program, it should also put in place that, as mentioned by one of the panelists, that communication is very important, open communication. And they also need to learn the structure of communication and change management to those like not only to the C-level, but also be able to face the employees. Many of the companies that as a HR, the employees do not even know who are those board of directors. Yeah, so it's really like quite a sad case. Besides this, I would say that the corporate governance syllabus, I hope that all the directors also being teach to understand what is the, I would say, the program for RSU, Restricted Stock Unit Program. Because a lot of the time, they could be having a team to design and implement for them. But basically that they will just go by. And one of the company that I work with, that I just help them to fix the compliance issue because they never get it right for the foreigner in Singapore and never also like declare those are RSU being granted to the authorities. So it's a very costly fix, all this. And some of the clause in between, maybe some of the directors also, they didn't know about it, is some of this missing in or under declaration of tax can cause you imprisonment. You can be in jail for 7 to 10 years. Yeah, so beside that, I would say that last request, I think beside the literacy, I think also important to have accreditation. So there must be a qualified individual to be the INET or even the executive director. It's not someone by networking, and they could be in the portfolio in the big corporation, but without the heavy weighted knowledge, right, it will also somehow will put the companies in the compliance risk position. That's all from me. Thank you.
You don't have to answer her first. You want to wait for a few more questions, maybe?
I don't think there was a question. I think
Or just a comment, okay. Sharing, yeah. Because
But you're right, because actually, just like the INED, all the stock exchanges do not have a specific, the qualification requirement for the INED. Everyone can be INED, right? Even in Malaysia, the same. Same in Hong Kong, same in China. Everyone can be qualified. Even you are just a primary school graduate, you can be an INED, right? So do we need to have some of the requirement for the people who can become an INED? Maybe they need to pass some examination or to do some training before that they can qualify. I think it's a good to consider whether we can improve on this.
okay. Dashini, you have a question?
Thank you for
Those
the
are simple questions.
No, thank
Please,
you for
yeah.
the engagement and all the discussion. In terms of Malaysia, this is, I think, maybe directed to Dr. Chan and Dato Shri. Do you think Malaysia has done well in terms of its management of its independent directors and, cultural diversity? Have we progressed? Because you have seen over the years, Dato Shireen, how well Malaysia has done, from the time you have been with Bursa Saham till now. Do you think?
I think that
You know?
if I take it from when I started in the late 80s
Yes.
to where we are today, huge changes, huge improvement. When I first started, for example, a company A could do a rights issue and use the money that they get from the rights issue for a sister company B. Today, that would never be allowed. In those days, you could do it. You know, there was the controls and the transparency was far less. So yes, we have certainly improved. A lot of the rules and regulations, you know, have been mirrored of what is moving internationally by your neighbors as well. Because if you do, I mean, at the end of the day, the reason for having all these rules, whether it's the FSA, Financial Services Act, whether it's the Capital Market Services Act, whether it's the listing rules, whether it's the Companies Act, which has just been redone, it's all about trying to ensure that investors who come in are confident to remain invested with us. If we don't have rules that they can understand and that they feel comfortable with, the money won't flow in. So it's really about giving that level of confidence that whether you invest in Malaysia or whether you invest in Indonesia or Singapore, your money is safe and it's governed by rules that they understand.
So how would you rate us, Malaysia, in terms of Southeast Asia? How would you rate Malaysia in terms of, our transparency, sustainability, diversity, gender,
I think if I had to rate it, I'd put it as work in progress.
Okay, that's good.
And the answers are also here. Buy the book. So, okay, one last question because we can continue during our networking.
Networking, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, come. Ahad there.
Hi, very good day to all. And just to share a little bit from what you all said just now, because I'm the CFO of the GLC and I was with Shell for 13 years. I have been working with the 21 countries, Middle East, South Asia, and Africa. I agree, like what Terence said. I was in Hong Kong for a year about that. Of course, the governance there was good. But I just would like to add two key points. One is about the technology. Today, I'm the CFO of the technology companies, about 13 years. I don't expect the directors, to be fair, whether they are independent, non-independent, to know everything about technologies. Yes, there is AI, there is cybersecurity, and etc. But the key part, I just would like to give you some tips, right? When I was in the board, my CTO is a lady, by the way, and I will share the second point is about the gender. Our CTO is a lady, and she, when there is an attack of the virus in Portugal, what she shared with us, right, in the board, this is what the board need to know. You see, she said, we have close of all the incoming overseas countries that we not have dealing, inclusive of Portugal. So my company is protected, you see. This kind of high-level informations that how the securities and AI is being functions need to be known. We need to know how detailed they are designed, the cybersecurity, but we need to know the high-level informations as a directors, because I'm also one of the members in the ICDM, Institute of Corporate Directors Malaysia. So that is core for the board members. And that training, nowadays, we are encouraging most of the corporate directors to go through this training. Like ICDM members, most of them are given chance. There are about 1,000 members there. But of course, we expect more in the coming years. And about the gender, I agree with Dato', and in your book, I have read summary. Actually, she didn't give the answer. What is the figure? Should it 30%? Should it, like what you say, 1? Actually, the number is not an issue. I have been working with a company with the 50% females directors in the board. I also have been working with a company with the 30% female directors in the board, like Shell. I also have been working with a company, there is no females in the boards. Yeah? And I was in Pakistan, only one woman in the board, when I was with the Shell Pakistan. The reality is not the number, but it's actually the knowledge that we want to be, the combination. For example, my PhD, I did in tax avoidance, right? I can share with you. There is a reflect when the more the number of females in the board, the less the tax avoidance cases.
Whoa.
You see, this is a reality. We have done the tests, yeah, we have evidence that, but however, not in every case. Sometimes we need the combination of this gender. So when the decision is made at the board level, it's more cautious. It's not just about making profit. We want to think about the sustainability of the company. If let's say the company is very big, then the governance level is could be very high. And the capital maybe 100 billions, right? If the company is just about 20 million, you know, if I expect to put so much of governance, it doesn't work that way. So that is something, there is no fast rule that this is the rules, but there must be a combinations. And there is also not only one reason that because of more guys in the board, they are making profit well, their success, or there is also no a proven result that because of more ladies, the company survive. It is all about combinations. And I think that is a fair deal to be in the world. That is how even in European they run the company. That is my real experience that I've gone through. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one last question.
No, one last question. Last.
Last question. Okay, I don't want to hold you back. Otherwise, you stay to midnight. Okay. I have a simple question for the panel. Okay. Basically, independent directors are supposed to look after the interests of the minority shareholders. That's my understanding. How independent is an independent director, given that independent directors on the board, you're surrounded by some executive directors, and some boards also have executive directors plus non-independent, non-executive directors also on the board. So the influence is there when you're going to make a decision. But then, like I think our learned speakers here have also mentioned how to make sure that you have the quality directors, not just in terms of the skill set, but the independence itself. How do we ensure that? Thank you.
I didn't catch your name. Sorry.
Arthur.
Arthur. I think that is the golden issue throughout. Because, you know, the problem is that many independent directors are nominated by a major shareholder. And they have to toe the line. If they don't toe the line, they get removed. It's as easy as that. And many directors, and I see it here in this country, I see it in many countries, you know, you complain that, or people complain that men have too many board roles. There are the same sort of problem with women who become professional board members. And all they do is go from board to board, and they just manage their position there so that they remain there in order to earn the board fees. I find it very worrying that this is a trend that I'm seeing even here. That, you know, when we started, we didn't have enough women board members, and now I see the same names over and over again in different boards. And when you have board members who are that busy, I cannot even think, you know, the limit here is 5 public listed companies. And if you think about it, you have 5 public listed companies, then you'll have the subcommittees. Some public listed companies require every month, if you're an FI, a financial institution. The board papers are thick, and many board members don't even read it. And this is the problem. How valuable are they as independent board members? So this is where I go back to box ticking. And this issue of being really independent, really speaking out, is really falling because people just want to manage their board seats. So, you know, you're very valid in saying that, because this is the problem. And I think that it's especially true when you have it for boards that are governing institutions that are critical to the people. You know, if you are a family-run company and it's a family business, I don't have such an issue about that. You need independent directors who the company thinks will help them grow, which is fine. But when you have companies that are representing institutions that manage people's money, people's retirement, people's health, these are issues that you need truly independent people in order to make the company world-class. And not just, you know, oh, I can't say anything that's going to upset the shareholder, it's going to upset the chairman. That's where the problem is. So great question. I think that it's something that is very difficult to solve. I don't know about Dr. Terence and Roy, your views.
No comments. Very good.
No further comments.
Any other comments?
No comments. No further comments.
There's governance. Anyway, corporate governance is a very challenging practice to all of us, but there are always solutions. And very soon we are going to offer some courses. Please attend. You have to pay, of course. Now, more seriously, I want to thank all of you for this sharing the deep insights about corporate governance. And my apology, Dato Roy and Dr. Terence, my apology because I did not buy a present for all of you.
No, we don't have.
Oh,
That's
You-
the
you
best,
have?
That's the best governance.
we have some gifts
You
for our
have-
panel
you
of
have a gift.
speakers.
I thought I want to save some money. What are you doing? Okay. Where is it? You have a gift. Oh,
The bows.
that one is not for you. It's for the others. Yeah. Tell me. Yeah, Come here, come here. Come here. Adam, come, some of you come. Come take a photograph.
Take a good photo. Souvenir.
This one is so good.
Everyone, look at your smile, everyone. 1, 2, 3. Okay, smile. 1, 2, 3.
And Mark, you all come in. Mark, Dr. Lam, come. Mark. Hurry up, please. Hurry up, please.
There, young women. 1, 2, 3, everyone, look at your smile.
Hey, Steven, where is sending that?
Okay, good.
Oh, yeah. Okay. No,